today we're beginning Unit E, and we're beginning with Lesson 9.3, Circles. A circle is a set of all points x, y in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point called the center of the circle. The distance r between the center and any point on the circle is called the radius. The standard form of the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where the center of the circle is hk and the radius is r. You will need to memorize this equation and this information. So what I would like you to do is every time you do a problem, you write it down so that it'll be stuck in your head. Okay, we're just going to try a bunch of different examples. I would like you to pause the video when I tell you to try the U-tries on your own. So here we're going to write the equation of the circle. In order to write the equation of the circle, we will need the center and the radius. We are always going to plug something in for h, k, and r. So let's just go ahead and get started. One is a picture and one is just given to us. So in number one, I need to actually see what the center of the circle is. So in number one, the center of the circle is -3, -2. So I like to write that down, -3, -2. The radius is 1, 2, 3 units. I'm going to go ahead and plug 3 in for r, -3 in for h, and -2 in for k. When I do that, I get x plus 3, because it's minus a -3, plus y plus 2, because it's minus a -2. And then I need to square my r. So when I square 3, I get 9. This is it. This is the answer. That's all I need. This one, we are given the center and the radius, so we don't need to figure it out. So this is h, this is k, and this is r. We're going to plug all of these in, and I do want to remind you how to square when we have a radical. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do x minus 0 squared plus y minus -1 becomes a +1 squared, and then r squared. Now, when you square this, we're squaring the 3, which is 9, and we're squaring the root 2 times root 2, which is 2. So we end up with 9 times 2, which is 18. Now, I will accept this as the answer, but if it were your textbook, they would write this as just x squared. So this is how you would see the answer on a multiple choice test. It would look like this. Okay. I would like you to pause the video and try the first U-try on your own. Remember, you're going to plug this in for H, K, and R. All right, moving on to the next set of examples. This one says identify the center and the radius. So this is just the opposite. We're going to take the center out, and the radius we're going to square root it. So all you're going to do is take the opposite of what you see inside the parentheses. So my center here is going to be 5, -6, and then you're going to square root because this equals r squared. So how do you get just r? You square root both sides. So the radius is 7. Okay, let's go ahead and try this one. We're going to take the opposite of what you see. So the center is going to be -5, +2, and then we're going to square root this. Now, luckily, these are both perfect squares. We don't need to get rid of any radicals in the denominator, so we just get 9/10. Now, again, I'd like you to pause the video and do exactly what I did above for the second U-try problem. Okay, next type of problem is we are going to graph. So in order to graph, you need to take out the center and you need to square root the r squared, so we can get the radius. So in this problem, the center is going to be -1, +2. So I'm going to go ahead and plot that. So -1, +2 is right here. The radius is then 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count 3 units up, down, left, and right, and then I'm going to draw my circle. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw my circle. Okay, next problem. Now, there is no number with the x, so that is 0. This is -2, and the radius is 5. So I'm going to plot 0, -2, and then I'm going to go ahead and count 5 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I fell off my graph here. So it'd be down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You won't fall off your graph. I just fell off on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. Oops, this is 5. Sorry. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is bigger circle. Ignore my messy circle. There we go. All right. Go ahead, pause the video, and I want you to try this next U-try on your own. So take out the center, square root the radius, and go ahead and graph that on your graph. Okay, the last type of problem is the most trickiest. We're going to need to use our completing the square, and the reason it's tricky is because we're going to have to complete the square 2 times. So I'm going to start off with a very simple problem. The U-try I gave you for this example is like the simple problem. It's like number 1 that I'm about to do. Okay, so right now this is not standard form. We need to get it in standard form. So here's how I initially like to set it up. I keep my x's together. So I'm going to go ahead and write x squared plus 14x. We're going to go ahead and add, we're going to leave a blank because we're going to need to complete the square because we need to factor it. We need to get these into binomials squared. Then I'm going to go ahead and write my y's. So we have y minus 6y plus a blank. Now, you want to move this over, so we're going to add the 6 to both sides, so the constant's on the other side. Now notice, I have 2 numbers I'm going to add on the left, which means I'm going to have 2 numbers that I need to add on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the square 2 times. I'm going to do it for my x. So 14 divided by 2 squared is 49. So I'm going to add 49 to the left. I'm going to add 49 to the right. Then I'm going to go ahead and do it for my y's. So negative 6 divided by 2 squared. So I get 9. I'm going to add 9 to the left, and I'm going to add 9 to the right. Now I'm going to go ahead and factor. These are perfect square trinomials, so we're going to go ahead and write them as binomial squared. So this is going to be x plus 7 squared. This is going to be, oh, there was supposed to be a squared here, y minus 3 squared, and it's going to be equal to 64. I got that by doing 6 plus 49 plus 9. Now looking at it, this answers the first part of the question. Oh no, it doesn't, I'm sorry. It didn't ask for standard form. It has to find the center and the radius. A lot of times it'll do both. So I would want this as an answer. And then the center is negative 7, positive 3, and then the radius is 8. Okay, this is what you are going to follow when you go ahead and do the U-try. Now I'm going to do another problem where it gets a little bit more complicated, but that, so you know, would be about as complicated as it gets. Okay, first of all, we don't want coefficients for our squared term. So luckily, we can divide everything by 4. Every term is going to get divided by 4. So that's my first step. When I do that, I get x squared minus 6x plus y squared plus 2y minus 15 equals 0. Now I'm where I was here. I'm going to go ahead and keep my x's together. So x squared minus 6x plus blank. Then I'm going to do y squared plus 2y plus blank. I'm going to move my 15 over, so I'm going to add 15 to both sides. And because I have 2 numbers I'm going to add on the left, I'm going to have 2 numbers that I need to add on the right. Now we're going to go ahead and complete the square. Negative 6 divided by 2 squared is 9, so I'm going to add 9 to the left, 9 to the right. 2 divided by 2 squared is 1, so I'm going to add 1 to the left, add 1 to the right. Now I have x minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 15 plus 9 plus 1 is 25. So this is the standard form, but this problem asks for the center, which is 3, negative 1, and the radius, which is the square root of 25, 5. Okay, now before we end, need to know, you absolutely need to know the equation for the circle, which just to remind you is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where the center is h, k, and the radius is r. Okay, questions, comments, or concerns? Go ahead, write them on the bottom of the paper, and I'll see you in class.